Hi everyone, I'm Mick. Welcome to my shop. So today we're going to be making a part for the DBit grinder to work with the lathe tool attachment to hold down smaller lathe tools than this. So let's get started. Alright, so I've got the lathe tool bit holder installed on the DBit grinder. Here you can see this plate attaches here, which provides screws to clamp and hold down the lathe tool bit. But the whole thing is too big for this tool bit that I'm going to use. As you can see, the screws would be barely hitting the edge unless I tried to figure out some way to center it. And they're not long enough to even hit the tool bit. So I'm going to make a new plate, one of these, for this. That'll have these two holes. It'll basically be the same dimensions here. These two holes will be in the same place. These two holes will be offset to the bottom, and then on the profile I'm going to machine it with a piece sticking out to go in and sit in between there to keep this thing from moving around this way. So let's go over to the mill and make that. Alright, I've got the part in the vise. We need to take off .008, I believe. Yes. 0.008 off of the thickness. We're going to do that with my Shrum tri-fly. And then we'll square up this edge. Touch off. It's set the ZRO to 0. 0.0025. Let's see how that looks. Wow, this thing leaves a brilliant finish. So this is the Shrum tri-fly. I got it because Blondie Hacks recommended it, and I'm glad I did. Next I'm going to drill the two holes that mount this to the DBit grinder. One about here and one about here. I'm going to drill those first. We're going to be cutting a lot of this material out like that, and I want to drill those first so that when I drill them so that I don't end up I don't have to worry about hitting the parallels. Speak English, Mick. So I'm going to find the center of the piece first and work off of that. Okay. Alright, so I'm taking 50 thou depth of cuts here now, and it seems to work pretty well. Those of you who are observant will note that this is not the same block of material I had in there before. I screwed it up. So after I'm done, I'll show you what I did and the lesson that I learned in doing so. So we're taking these down 0.8445, 50th hour at a time. So I've started the operation now of cutting the relief where the tool bit is going to go. Sorry, I forgot to put the camera on, but I've only taken one pass or two passes. So I'm going to need to cut in 0.4380 and down 0.4380. Obviously it's a square tool bit, 3/8. So, I think that's what it is. Maybe not. Anyway, my math's wrong. Don't shoot me. So, we're just going to take these down. I'm only taking 25 thou passes this time because it seems to have a lot more vibration right now, and I don't know if it's because the part is smaller or has less mass than it did before. I don't know. In any event, we're only taking 25 thou passes. I tested this part in the DBit grinder lathe tool holder before I started this operation, and it fits perfectly. One slight change I wish I'd made, but not going to affect the performance. I'll show you when I'm done. Alright, we've got a new milling cutter in there. The other one's definitely all chowdered up. I'll show it to you under the microscope after we're done here. It apparently didn't like those 50 thou depth of cuts. Oh yeah, much better. Okay, got those drilled and chamfered, so let's take them over to the tapping arm, tap those three, and then we'll come back to the mill and counterbore these two holes here. Alright, we're over here at the tapping arm. I've got some of the anchor lube in there. Alright, clean that up, counterbore these. Alright, I've got a counterbore mounted in here and centered up on the hole. I'm going to use some of this just so it's cleaner. So here's the finished part. It worked very well. As you can see, the clamping screws are offset from the center line. It's got the profile on it. The lathe tool bit sits in there. One thing I made a mistake on, it's not a huge deal, but I did recognize before I made the mistake that I should have done something differently, and that is these screws to attach it to the DBit grinder holder are centered on this part, and as a result this end sticks out further, and so anyway, the holes should not have been centered in order for it to fit on the holder correctly, but again, not a big deal. So I don't know if it was evident in the video or not, but I made a big mistake as I was making this part. Here is my first attempt, scrapped. You can see there's the two holes for these two mounting holes, and this is significantly thinner than what it turned out to be. And one of the lessons I learned on this, well, two lessons, is first of all, double check your dimensions, your measurements you need to work to. If I had just thought even just a little bit about it, I would have realized that the depth of cut I had going down here was not possible. It would have actually exceeded the entire thickness of the part. The second thing that I learned in doing this is I had this mounted in the vice jaws like this, and I was working back here, and I realized that just in time that I almost hit my vice jaws, and that if I had had the part turned around like this, it would have become clearer to me, because I could have seen it, that I was already getting too close to that measurement to this, and that I should go take a look at what I was doing. So I guess the lesson is, if you're going to be cutting something and it's mirrored, at least cut the one that you can see first. So anyway, that's that, and take care.